This video is all about the causes of uneven development. This world map here is showing the differences in development across the world, and obviously we categorise the countries into LICs, NEEs and HICs. Now there are three overarching causes of uneven development: economic, historical and physical causes. Now we're first going to start off looking at economic causes, looking at lack of resources. Now if an LIC does not have anything to sell, it will struggle to develop as it's not making money. Many LICs are dependent on a single export, which is a big economic risk. For example, in Zambia, copper accounts for over half of the total value of exports, and that price of copper has fluctuated, which obviously means that it negatively affects the development of the country. In addition to this, world trade is between richer countries, HICs, which makes them very powerful. So it's difficult for LICs to negotiate a good price for their raw materials, as the HICs want to pay as little as possible. And this is because the LICs usually export primary products, such as farming products and minerals, which they sell to HICs at a low price. The HICs will then process those products, exploiting the LICs, and they add value to them, which means they're then sold on at such a higher price, making the great amount of profit. So LICs are kind of stuck in that cycle of having to sell cheaply in order to continuously get custom from HICs. Moving on to physical causes then. When we have a look at physical causes, the first one is being landlocked. This makes development difficult. A landlocked country is a country which is only bordered by land, therefore it has no coastline and therefore cannot trade, or at least it limits their ability to trade. 16 out of the 54 countries in Africa are landlocked, which could be one of the reasons why we do see some underdevelopment within the continent of Africa. The next cause, physical cause, is climate related diseases. So, for example, mosquitoes live and breed in warm conditions. And obviously, we know mosquitoes, vector borne disease of malaria, mosquitoes are involved in that, they carry the disease. This means that people cannot work, and if people cannot work, that obviously makes development difficult. We've then got natural hazards, for example, earthquakes and volcanoes, and this can limit the ability for a country to develop, as money is being spent on rebuilding and repairing as opposed to spent on development, things such as infrastructure and healthcare. For example, the Haiti earthquake that we've studied, obviously we know there's loads of people that also died, which reduces the workforce, and then infrastructure was badly damaged, affecting Haiti's ability to trade in the future. We've also got climate, which can affect development, as crops cannot grow well without water at the right time of year, and that lack of water is a barrier to development. Therefore, drought prone areas will struggle to develop. We're then going to have a look at historical causes, and our first is colonialism. Between the 1870s and 1900s, many European countries took control of other countries in order to gain access to natural resources such as gold. So much of Africa and parts of Asia were divided up between the European superpowers, and countries such as the UK and France had powerful empires and colonies, and money made from the sales of natural resources did not remain within that country but back to the colonial powers. And most former colonies are now LICs, with economies based around raw materials rather than manufacturing, but it also leads to that poor governance and political instability, which only hinders further development as they do become independent. The last one is war and conflict. Wars can obviously disrupt development in a country, they destroy infrastructure and services, and also cause a loss of population, which ultimately reduces the workforce. It can also negatively affect the education of a country. For example, it's reported that 48.5 million children living in conflict areas are currently out of school. And obviously, we know that if we are not in school, we are not developing our literacy rate, and we are not as employable or looking at those tertiary or quaternary sector jobs. So, in conclusion, we've got three main causes. However, there's causes within the main causes, and it's important to revise these.